Hello, everyone. Mike from Imperial Tropicals. Um, Mike B is on vacation this week, so I told him I'd step in and do a video with you guys. Um, Wanted to go over a few announcements. Right out the gate, one announcement is we are doing a Memorial Day sale. So come Monday for Memorial Day, we're doing 15% off the entire website. So just it's from like midnight to midnight. So just the one day only sell. So if you want to order something on Monday, the whole site will be 15% off for Memorial Day. So in honor of Memorial Day. Last year we had a typo. We said Memorial Day, Happy Memorial Day, and it's like we got kind of slammed by a few people that said, well, it's not really Happy Memorial Day. It's an honor Memorial Day because of the people that have sacrificed everything to allow us to do what we do here. So it's in honor of those people, and me being in the military, it means a lot. The sacrifice that some people have given just to give us the freedoms that we do have. So with that being covered, I wanted to give also an update. We just got a semi truckload full of aquariums for the new building. So we're super excited about that. So I'll probably walk over there and show you guys a peek of that. We also have been working on these the display tanks, the 600-gallon display tanks, and we've been having an issue with the planted tank. I'll go ahead and flip this around so you guys can see it. Uh, Settings, camera. Takes me a minute to flip the camera. And here we go. So we've been having a little bit of a problem with cyanobacteria, which I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. It's growing right there in the middle. Actually, you can see it uh, in the sand. And so what we discovered, yeah, you can see a little bit of it right there. See that green? And there's a little bit on the plants right there in the middle. So we tried to treat it with antibiotics. The problem that we ran into is that the sand in the tank is super, super thick. So it's not getting enough air or water flow or turnover. So it's trapping, a lot of nutrients in the sand. So yesterday, Rob and I went through the tank and we removed a good bit of sand, but I feel like we're going to have to remove more, and we're going to end up um, having to use some other type of substrate. Even though I love sand, I just having it so thick is not a good thing. So we're going to be working on getting a different substrate. Let me get back to where I can see comments. There you go. So we're going to get to a different substrate, so it's not all straight sand. It'll still be a lot of sand, but it won't be such a thick bed of sand, if that makes sense. So like we actually had it probably in places like 4 to 6 inches in this tank. So we're going to try to go with a thinner layer of sand and use some other type of substrate. If you guys have any you know recommendations too, like I'm probably going to do some type of gravel mixed in with the sand, and not have it quite such just a solid bed of sand. This tank is doing really good. We got a really long whiptail cat there. Got the L25 looking good. And then, oh, someone was asking about Sveni in the emails this week. It's unfortunately we had problems this past winter. Well, one going into winter, we had a hurricane that caused us a lot of problems, and we lost a lot of fish from the hurricane. And then, what made it through that, we lost in the wintertime when it got really cold here. So um, that's one thing is when we do go to the new building, it's going to give us a lot more breeding area, but we're also going to have a lot more indoor space. So when it does get really cold or really bad weather, we could bring more fish indoors. Um, and I know Mike B's been showing you this tank. This is the Malawi tank. Um, it's awesome. Like it's eye catcher. Every time we walk in to the building, this tank. If you remember before, it had the Tanganyikans in it. Now having these peacocks and haps, it's like wow. Like every time I walk by it, I stop and I'm in awe of all the bright colors. And why we didn't do this in the beginning as a peacock and hap tank, I don't know, because it's amazing looking. So we are adding each week. We're adding a few other types. I really like this firefish right here. It's actually got white lips, like a Madoka white lip. See the white lips on him? That's pretty cool. Probably going to end up pulling him out and putting him in with a bunch of females. Uh, so that tank's looking awesome. We're going to keep adding a few more each time we get like a new, strain from the grow out area that is not currently in the tank. We're going to still add a few more to this setup, but tanks are looking good. Big shout out to Mario who built the tanks for us. Um, I think he did a great job with it. So, uh, oh, another thing that we did while we're on the subject of the big tanks is we actually took these off so we could get to the plumbing, and we put them back on with strips of magnet. So Zach has been working on that for the last week. So these are actually detachable. I don't want to do it now um, because it's a special method to get it back on. You spin this around. Sorry about that. And then in the back, we had sliding doors. We ended up putting those on with magnets, getting these doors and putting on with magnets. And then we also went to filter socks and the sump. So we're still having to tweak that a little bit, but that's going to trying to make the maintenance on these tanks a lot easier. I've always said like go bigger tanks are easier to take care of. But now that I've actually got a tank this big, there is a lot to it, especially because everything's like hard to get to. That's one reason we kind of opened up everything in the tank. Um, so I seen that there was a bunch of comments. So Steven Alexander, what's up? Links. Yeah, it's been a while. So Odell. Cheers, long family shoal. Thanks to all the veterans. Randall. David Altergod. Man, I appreciate it, David. Thank you. Plant some Amazon sword in sand that will eat up the extra nutrients. That's a good idea. Because I don't think we do have any swords in there. So that'll help go down there and help separate some of that sand. So yeah, that's a good idea. And they'll be nice in a big tank like that. The Amazon swords will. Yeah. Gabe Gabriel's saying he had the same problem with the sand and it trapped stuff. So with like these tanks, because it's not that thick, we don't have that same issue. And then like periodically we'll stick our hand in there and just stir all that stuff up and help separate it. So it's never been a problem in these tanks. It's really just been a problem in that big tank where it's really hard to get our hand down in that substrate and stir it up like that. So, oh yeah, I wanted to show the OB Borley. Those guys are hot. We don't have too many of the OBs Borley because we ended up saving a fair amount of them back for new breeding stock. So hopefully in the future we'll have more, but we have them right now. So if it's something that you want, I would go ahead and order them. So, all right. Maddie saying, I'm going to stop by next week. Can't wait to see the display tanks again. The zebra pikes are my favorite. Yes, they are my favorite too. And what's really cool about the zebra pikes in that tank is it's a pair. I mean, they are a happy couple. And, you know, I would like to maybe once we get this big, this next big project done, I want to build an area just for the zebra pikes. And that way, you know, maybe we get them to pair up, you know, or not pair up, but actual breed. As far as I know, they have not been bred in captivity, but I've got a friend that bred the Otabapo pikes, and you know, basically they just need a big environment, you know, soft water, um, good diet, and space, and those things will find them a cave and find a cave that's the right size, and they'll go in there and do their thing. So that would be super awesome to have success breeding the Sabrina pikes. All right, so yeah, all right. Trying to get Mike Bernard's on here too. Happy Friday, Mike. All right. Ali Sean's on. Hello, Christopher. What's the yellow guys in there? So that's what the fish we're talking about. That's the Zabrina pikes. Those are, they come from Colombia, the Orinoco River. Shoot, probably need to turn the Wi-Fi off. Let me do that. All right. I didn't think about that when I walked out. I needed to turn the Wi-Fi. So all this area over here is going to be storage for our boxes, and we're going to end up creating a break room over there in the corner. There you see, we're going to do like a little kitchen, but this will be where our styrofoam boxes, and then everything over here is going to be aquariums. You can see the rows are already laid out, you know, for each row. So it's going to be a similar layout to what we have in our main building. The only thing different that's going to be in here is this is going to be primarily breeding. Um, so that's primarily selling, and this is going to give us a lot more breeding space. Super excited about these. These are some 125s, and I tell you, every time I've always ordered tanks, I'm like, man, I wish I could order 125s, but because of space, you know, limitations, I've always had the biggest I could, you know, build racks for was 75 gallon. You know, I'm like, well, I could fit 36 75s or 24, you know, 125s, and I always opted out for 75s because it does give me a lot more tanks. But, you know, there's so many fish that require a bigger tank than a 75. So 75 has really held us back. So by us having the 125s, it's going to give us a lot more options with breeding inside that size tank compared to 75. I still have, you know, of course, we did order 75s because I'm going to have one row of 75s, but um, we're also going to have some 125s for those bigger fish. And then, of course, we got lots of 40s. Those are going to be for, you know, nice for small to medium sized fish. We also, somewhere in this mix, we also have some 20-gallon longs. So the 20-gallon longs, those are going to be for even smaller fish like the dwarf cichlids, apistos. Um, what else would we do in that? Um, Possibly some of the smaller tangs, shellies, stuff like that. But I think we won't have to use any of those tanks for the Tanganyikans because we're going to the existing breeding room, which, you know, you guys have been watching us for a long time. I've seen it has, you know, like 25% of that room is Tanganyikans. The other 75% is South Americans and West African fish. So once we have this room up and operating, the South American fish are going to come up here, and that's going to give us a lot more space to breed different Tanganyikans. So that's going to be really exciting. So we have already a rack of 20-gallon tanks that we're breeding apistos on. So for example, those apistos are going to come up here into these tanks, and then those 20-gallon tanks could be used for Shelleys and other types of, nano type Tanganyikans. So I think a lot of the 20s up here also, because I ended up ordering, I want to say 72 of them, will also be used for fry. We haven't decided yet if we're only going to go too high on these 125 racks. So we might end up having space to do a row of like 10 gallons above, the 125s. But it really depends on how much space we have. But yeah, that's a whole lot of glass right there. And I'm grateful that we're able to not only be able to order these for the future breeding of our fish, but the fact that we have the space and we have the building. I mean, this is going to give us just a endless amount of possibilities for what we're breeding here at Imperial Tropicals. You guys that have been following us a good while know that our primary goal is breeding fish. Like, we love to breed fish. That's where our background is in breeding. And then this is going to give us a lot more space. Like, we've always are really tight on space for the breeders. So this will give us a lot more tanks, for that. And to me, that's exciting. That's what kind of gets us fired up. Maddie's asking if we're doing the store credit giveaway. Not this week. They were trying to explain to me how they've been doing it. I'm like, we're going to make some announcements this week, but when Mike B gets back next week, we're going to kick the giveaway off again, and be doing that again. But I just didn't want to mess it up, so I didn't want it to get complicated. So I decided just to not do it this week. Make the announcements about the sale, and then next week we'll start the giveaway. Fish fan, what's up? Yes, that was a CW 49 in that big tank. And unfortunately, that's the only one that we have left in that big tank. We were having some issues with that tank about 6 months ago, and that's the only one that was left. And, that's a Cory that I wish we could have better success with. But even when we bring them in from the wild, they are very sensitive to shipping. I mean, we have lost too many of those shipping. And on the Corys, we are extra cautious with our shipping method. Like, when we know that the Corys are going out, we pick them the day before. We put them in a bucket with an air stone bubbling, and we let them purge. And by purging, I mean, it basically cleans out their digestive tract. And then when we do ship them, they release less ammonia in the bag that's toxic, to the shipping. But even with that fish, by doing that, they don't ship well. I mean, that's just the truth of it. They are not good shippers. And the last time, every time we see them on the list, I'm like, man, I wish we could buy them. But if I have trouble with the fish, we try a few times, and then usually we just avoid bringing them in, because it's really, painful to lose fish. So we don't like that. So, but yeah, that's a CW 49 in that tank. I wouldn't mind getting some in and maybe trying to breed them in the future, and possibly tank raised ones will ship better. So I'm trying to go through these comments. All right, that was Barbara. Oh, I see Wyatt. Beautiful tank. I wonder who did it. Yeah, Wyatt was the first man when it came to setting that up and getting all those fish in there. He picked out the fish for the tank, and him and Rob did a great job getting it to where it's at. And so it's been good. In fact, I think it was like just a few days after we had it set up that we had a customer come in, and it was a great, example of what the customer wanted. They're like, I want a tank that looks just like that. So that was pretty cool that, now when customers come in, we can show them. All right, sorry about that. I switched over to Wi-Fi. All right, we should be good to go. All right, so I'm gonna get through the rest of these questions, and I'm gonna wrap it up. James Randall's asking, do you think a video of the rack construction would be possible? Well, we've usually haven't took the time to make a video of it, but I don't see why not. Um, it's something that we actually had an employee that worked for us by the name of Steve, who is a good friend of mine, and he's the one that actually helped with this design in the beginning. And it's been copied a lot. I know I see some of the other retailers out there online that they tried to copy what we built. So it's not that difficult, you know, if you're a wood person. But we did put a lot of effort into all the, you know, like how much space do we need between the tanks? Like we wanted to make sure that we had enough room we could get in there and work. As far as the lights, you know, that was all homemade stuff. But I think, you know, I'll talk to Jared whenever we're building these racks, and I'll have him post up, you know, plenty of photos and videos of us building the racks. That way you guys can kind of see behind the scenes, you know, how they work and how we build them. So the Ivan Picara Immaculata, this has been probably the hottest fish that we've had in quite some time. These are being bred by Rob. And I want to say he brought us like 60 of them, and most of them are already sold. So that's one of the, you know, rarest dwarf cichlids we've had in a long time. So we're super excited about those. Tout Passion says, I'm jealous of all those tanks. So if you didn't know, this is what, like when you have what we call MTS, all right, which is multiple tank syndrome. This is what happens when you have multiple tank syndrome and you do it for a living. It's like it never stops. Like I remember when we laid out this building, and I'm like, you know, how many tanks can we fit in here? I'm like, well, we're going to fit as many as we possibly can, and I think that'll give us plenty of space for many years to come. And already we've maxed that space out. Like within by the time it was built out, we're like, man, we need even more tanks, you know. But so yeah, we're super thankful and appreciative to have all these tanks, and we're super excited about what that means for us as a breeder, you know, to be able to have that much space. All right. Um, Cory's asking if we have any Damons and Festums left. I think we do. I know somebody will hopefully be on here, whether it's Carly. I think Carly's on here. But yeah, if not, email us. The best is emailing us. If you email us, we're going to be able to see. I know the Damons, I want to say we were breeding them. So the ones we've been selling are from our own stock. And then I think we brought in some from Colombia on that last order. In fact, I think they were down here. Oh, maybe they are sold out. I thought they were right there. Try to spin this around. Yeah, I don't see them, but they'll look them up for you and let you know. And we'll keep it on these Corys so I'm not spinning you guys around. And then try to answer the rest of these questions. All good news is we did have our Festums spawn. Like all the Festums we've been selling were wild caught, but Jake just informed me that we had success with our first spawn with the ones in captivity. So that's exciting because, we don't mind bringing in wild caught, but if we can breed stuff in house, it makes it a lot better for us and for our customers. So, all right. Yeah, they're just saying this answer, no daemons, but we do have lots of festums. And Spencer says his Immaculata is breeding in LA. Nice. No, I didn't know they were harem spawners. That's cool. Kevin says looking good. I appreciate that, Kevin. Nice. Barbara says she just got some two Nanhora Corys. Yeah, we've really been trying to bring in a lot of Corys that are, not common. And like these guys, these are the Adolfo's, Ophlosomos, and, they're really, really nice looking. Lynx is asking any BOGO cells. No BOGO cells. I wish we could, but it's been just too much on us, really. Like this past winter, we're still recovering from it. Everybody's been super busy, so we're not doing any BOGOs. We are still doing the weekly sell though, and if you look at that weekly sell, we're making it a point to have at least 10 different items every week on that weekly sell, and we're trying to make it a good mix of all different types. And on that weekly sell, they're on average like 50% off. So that's, even though we don't call it BOGO, but it's basically you could buy two for the price of one. So make sure you're checking that out. That is still going to be available, throughout the sell on Monday, but it just won't be 15% off those weekly sell items. It'll just be 15% off all non-sell items, but yeah, check that out because that's been a good option for everybody to, like say we have, an excessive amount of something that's breeding, or maybe we have something that we have a lot of that's looking really good, then we'll put it on that weekly sell. So Zen Aquatics is saying he's buying 5 of the Ivana here right now. Nice. We'll be on the lookout for it. So, um, Brian is asking, do I think some of the larger rainbow fish would be good for South American central tanks? So that's a good question. And typically I would say, hey, we don't mix fish from different areas like that. We would only, have fish that are similar. Like, for example, silver dollars would be better with bigger South American fish. Centrals, you probably do like some wild type swordtail or something like that with centrals. So there is other options, but as far as rainbow fish, we breed these rainbow fish in hard water. We do not breed them in soft water, and so that and the South American fish that are bred here, they're even if they're bred in soft water, we're going to keep them in hard water as they're growing up, so they acclimate. So with that being said, water parameters on those would be okay for either or, and I think you'd be fine having rainbow fish in with bigger South American or centrals. But just for aesthetic purposes, like when I see a tank, I like to see fish that all come from the same area. Um, and there's some things that are not compatible, of course, like mixing Malawi fish with, South American fish. It might work for a little while, but at some point, somebody's going to hurt somebody. Um, the rainbow cichlids are just walk by them, they're all fired up. All right. Mac is asking if you can see the diamond apistos. So let me see if I can find those. Yep, it just gave me the tank number L13 so much nicer now that we have tank numbers associated with all of our fish. That means, we know exactly what's in tank number L13. And it just, compared to when we first started doing this, we didn't know, um, we didn't have the tank number associated with what was in the tank. So it was much more difficult for us to keep track of them. So L13 right here. I don't know how well they're going to let me get close to them. And I don't really have a zoom. So just like for most of the wild types, unless they're in breeding conditions, they're not going to be very colorful. I can see one male kind of posted up there in that pipe. He looks like he's got a little bit of color, but there's not going to be a lot to them until they pair off. There's a male right there in the back. I can see him. He's got a little bit of red on the face. And I know we need another picture of that one because they, without them colored up, they don't look very, very nice. We got the bumblebee Oscars, the Crassipenis. Super excited about that. I'm going to grow some of these guys out too. That's a good example for that 125 I was telling you about. Even in a 125, that might not be big enough for these guys when they start getting real big. But we got ponds for these guys that might be the best fit for them when they get bigger. All right, I'm gonna try to get to the other comments. All right. All right. Jasper's asking if we have German blue rams. Yes, we do. Let me scroll down here and show you those guys. So we got black. I'll start with those because they're right here at eye level. And the black are going to be like basically a darker version of the German. Um, Whoever first named these fish really kind of messed up by calling them the black German ram or black ram. They were originally bred in Israel the first time, and now that those genetics are out there for everybody else. But we will see some that are like solid black, and those are called dark nights. But then we found like when we breed the dark nights that they're not very good to breed, you know, black on black, like dark night on dark night. So then we started crossing them with the gold ram, and that really helped out the genetics. So we are working on some that will be even blacker. But these are real stunning fish too. I mean, they're really nice, and you can see how healthy they are. So I mean, the males are all flexing and displaying. Here's the German version, German blue ram, and these guys are also flexing. Let's spin this around so you can see. What's really cool about the rams is that they they really act like they're really bad fish, like they're just these tough guys, but they never hurt each other. Like even in a tank like this where you've got multiple males, squaring off and posturing on each other, they still don't hurt each other. So they're just a bunch of show basically. But when they start, flexing like that, it's really cool to watch. And I see this posted on Facebook quite a bit. Like, people are like, what's the problem? Every time I buy rams, they don't do good. And that's not the case with our rams. Our rams are all bred here locally, either by us or by another breeder that we are good friends with. And that makes a big difference because whenever we import these from, out of the country, they don't do very well for us. So it's not just you that have problems with those types, but even people like us that have a professional facility to house them in and take care of them. We still have trouble with the imports. So basically when we run out of, rams, we just have to wait until we're back in them because we don't want to import them and have issues. And I think part of the problem is the stress. They travel so far to get here. By the time they get here, they have a lot of health issues. And it's just hard to get them to recover from all that stress. So there's the German Rams. All right, let me switch it over. These are really cool fish. These are the Retroclus lepidopters. These are from Brazil. This is another one. This and the Shinguensis that we are saving some of these back for future breeders. And there we go. Another option for the 125s. All right. I see Carly said Blue Dolphin D19. Somebody's asking to see them, I assume, or D1. So let me go over there. Uh, all right. D1. D1. Yeah, these are small blue morai. They're not really colored up yet. So that's probably the only ones we have available. But these are bred by us. So it's a really good strain. They get really, really bright blue. They do get the nice hump on their heads when they color up. And another nice thing about them is the males and the females both color up. So the females have good color. So the next one is H27. So I'm gonna slide by you, Zach. Oh yeah, because he's not running a new line for that. So H27. This is the Rocha CW 106. And those are here. Yeah, those look really nice too. So one thing we started doing with all our saltwater fish, especially the wild caught, is Florida, we're fortunate to have palm trees. So we take the palm frond, that's like what you see right there, and we'll cut it into pieces and put it in the tank, and the fish really like it. So that's the CW 106. And then someone wanted to see the blue neon I-65. So let's go with CGHI 65 would be here. The 65 on this side. You see, we got some nice star sapphires. I see that one starting to chip out. I-65. All right, this is the blue neons. Really nice fish. Yeah, these guys are just like 3.5, and they're like showing really good color already. One of my favorite fish. I like the blue neon a little bit more than I do the bicolored 500. I think the yellow is more pronounced, on the blue neon. So, yeah, I mean, we have a couple different palm trees, but it could be from any type of palm tree from it. It just, what I like about it is that it does not break apart very quickly in the tank. So it stays together. And then you can actually use the husk of the palm, like that right there. That's the husk of the palm limb. And that's also a good option. See, there's some right there. So yeah, these have probably been in here for almost, well, probably over a month now. And you can see that it's still all together. At some point, it does decay. And what we'll do is we'll just take it out. It does turn your water a little bit brown, but the fish love it so much that that's okay with us, that it does do that. I mean, you can see that's actually a palm frond, that over there, that one. And then it's got a piece of driftwood over here, but that's the big husk of palm frond. So it doesn't really matter what type of palm tree. Um, One thing is as the palm tree dies and it's shedding, the palm fronds, that's when we use it. If it's a green one, then I would probably let it dry out before cutting it up and putting it in the tank. I think that would probably just be, just to be cautious about it. So, all right, let's look at these guys. They're actually on quarantine right now, but that's the Aspidorus ramundi, super rare. Um, Not only super rare, but they're super expensive. So when we order these fish from, South America, these came from Brazil. We're competing against, people from all over the world purchasing fish. So like the United States has a reputation for being, I don't know, how would you call it? Like bread and butter fish that, mostly what you see in the chain stores, Petco, PetSmart, whatever. And most of the really rare stuff, they go to Europe or Japan or China, and they don't hesitate to, pay, hundreds of dollars for fish, single fish. Uh, but in the U.S., um, I think we do have a growing amount of hobbyists that are wanting to keep rare and unusual stuff, and especially for breeding purposes. Like we buy fish from so many different breeders that breed rare stuff. That's like a big growing part of our company is getting rare fish, customers buying them breeding them, and then selling the babies back to us. So it's a growing in popularity. So there's times where I'm like, man, that fish is really expensive, and I don't know how well it's going to sell. And then, sure enough, some expert fish keeper out there knows exactly what he's getting, and they know that when they buy it from us, they're getting a good, healthy fish, and it's worked out really well. So these are one of those types right here, Aspidorus ramundi. So, and they've been on hold since they came in. Um, we haven't had a lot of losses, but we put them through a wormer, a parasite treatment. Now they're on like a bacteria treatment. So we won't sell these fish until they're 100% healthy, and which I don't think will be much longer. They're looking better and better. All right, so I'm gonna go some zebra plecos. I'll keep it on these guys for a little bit. All right, so somebody's asking to see the bumblebees. So I just went by, showed you the bumblebee Oscars. I don't mind, I guess, walking by it one more time. Somebody's wanting to see true parrot. It says they're an A57, so let's go look at those. All right, A57. A55, A57. Oh, yeah. So we got smaller ones of these, and we're happy to offer smaller ones because it seems like every time we bring in true parrots that we get the really, really big ones. And not only are they like super aggressive to each other, but they don't ship very well, to our customers. So at this size, which, I would say most of them are around the 3 inch mark. Um, Not only do they ship really well at that size, but they also um, don't kill each other as bad in the tank. So you can see we have 10 of them in there right now, and they don't get that real super aggressive nature until they get bigger. So right now, these guys are doing really well. I know we've sold a couple of them recently, so I don't know how many more of these are left, but that's also a really rare one. We have breeders of those, and they keep spawning for us, but every time the eggs are not fertile, so we're still trying to figure out, what we could do to get those guys to be successful breeding. I mean, we just had eggs for the second time and these guys didn't hatch out again. So, hey DJ, they wanted to see the bumblebees. Yeah. So, yeah, as Carly was saying, these don't get as big as the other Oscar types. And I've never, this is actually the first time I've ever was able to get them in. Um, I also heard that aren't quite as aggressive as some of the other, Oscar types. So that's exciting. We got the whiptails. These guys, we brought in a lot of whiptails on that last order. I don't know. I got a thing for whiptail fish, catfish. Ricky Rodriguez is asking if you need a dealer permit to sell fish back to us. So it really depends on what your state rules are. So whenever we do purchase locally, those people do have a resale permit that they get from Fish and Wildlife. So just email us and we could talk more about it. Now I will say this, someone's interested in talking about it, that we don't buy fish that we already are breeding. It'd be very unusual for us to do that. Maybe if we're looking to you know improve our genetics or something like that. And then there's times that it's just not feasible for us to order. So we get a lot of people say, hey, I bred my convict cichlids, pink convicts, and will you buy them from us? And it's just not feasible for us to buy them. So we are still selective on what fish we do buy, and there's got to be a standard there too. So just kind of be aware of that. Um, you know, I Holly's asking if we're doing any doorbuster sells every hour on Monday. I wish. I know we really enjoy doing the flash sells, but like I said, we're not really in a position to do a big sell like that, and we're going to do 15% off, site wide. Um, but hey, if we get time, maybe on the next holiday, I don't know which one it is. I think it'll be July 4th. Maybe if we could get, things set up ahead of time, we could do something like that for July 4th. Um, it'll be an automatic discount. So, all right. Hey, happy Friday, everyone. I'm trying to get through all these questions. Just bear with me. I'm scrolling down. Yep, Lynn Chapman. Hello, Lynn. Good to hear you, and thank you for being on. But Lynn's reminding everybody, don't forget to close your chat and hit that like button. Yeah, that helps us know that hey, we're reaching a lot of people, and you guys are liking the videos. We've been doing this a long time. I don't know how many years we've been doing the live videos. I know Mike B is doing a great job with it, and he's the one that's typically doing the live videos nowadays. But it's just been awesome for us to first of all, Jared's the only one around here that knows how to edit videos. So, you know, this gives us an opportunity to, hey, let's just go live and show everybody. So what you're seeing is like non-edited videos. This is the real deal. And we could go around and guys and show you our quality. Um, One thing that we've been doing recently is we've been offering virtual appointments, right? And what that means is that you could book a virtual appointment and we're going to give you 30 minutes one-on-one time, just like what we're doing now. And you could pick out fish that you want to order. Some people are using it for for tank questions, like if they're having troubles with their tanks. That gives us one-on-one time with that person to help find out what the problem is. And we've been doing this long enough that we're pretty good at finding out what the problem is. So if you're new into fish keeping and you're having, troubles, then that might be an option for you to book that appointment. Um, you know, it's, I will say this, for most issues, it goes back to water quality. So, and it might be water quality from a shipment coming in. The fish might be stressed from that, or you might, your water source might be bad, or your tank's not cycled. That's always a big problem, is the tanks aren't cycled for a lot of people, so they get in a rush to set up a new tank and it's not cycled properly. So that's the raccoon tetras. Really cool, newer tetra in the hobby. All right, let me get back to the questions. Someone's wanting to see the Sumo Loach L18. That's right down here. It's right here. So these guys have done really, really well for us. It was a new fish for us. We've brought in lots of different loaches before in the past, but these guys have done really, really well. And that is the Sumo Loach. I don't know much about them except DJ's been taking care of them and they look like they're really healthy and doing really well. So, all right, the next is the yo-yo loaches. All right, yo-yo loaches, they do kind of all look the same, but I'll show them to you. G29. It should be. Let's be on this. G29. All right, they're all hanging around that wood there. Let me. Actually, don't have many of them left. Yeah, it only looks like there's like 4 of them left in the tank. And they're good size. Because a lot of times when they come in, they're really, really small. There's 4 of them left. You see some snails in there. They've been feeding them. So if you got a snail issue, those are really good options for you. Oh, we got more yo-yos. So there's 2 tanks of yo-yos. We also have some in G23. These guys aren't quite as big as the ones I just showed you. But yeah, you got more of them. So all right, let me switch it over. I'll read some of the questions. I'm gonna have to wrap this up here in a few minutes, so I'm gonna show you these Julius chromis transcriptus. All right, that sounds good, Cory. Nice. So Stephen Alexander is going to order some dolphins on Monday. Make sure that your Mabunas are, not super aggressive if you're going to add blue dolphins. The other thing is be prepared, especially when you have new arrivals. It's best to quarantine them away from your Mabunas and away from your other fish if possible. I mean, you see our operation here. Even when we bring stuff into this building, we quarantine it. Even if it's coming from our breeding area, it usually comes in and goes into a tank all by itself because the temperature is different down there. Waters could be a little bit different, and they have to adjust to their new environment. So that's the only thing I could recommend. Typically, though, we don't recommend mixing any type of hap or peacock with Mabunas, um, but it can be done. So especially like yellow labs aren't aggressive, as aggressive, but just all you got to do is be aware, watch your fish, and if they start, picking on the dolphins, and be prepared to move on. Right, right. Xenaquad, it's already placed his order. I appreciate that. Lynn's saying I have a huge electric blue Texas and a 55, and I can't put anything with him. He's bigger than my hand. Is the tank boss, but he's beautiful. LOL. They are nice fish. Yeah, and that's the downside about when those fish get big, is they get very territorial. So nice. Somebody's asking about the rainbow that we showed. Is that the same one on the page? I don't know which rainbow fish that is that you're asking. I've showed a bunch, but if you tell me and I'm still on, I could show you. Mike Powell, I do not have Congo tetras. I was looking at that the other day. We need to get some of those in because those are always real popular, and the yellow Congos. Gabriel, we should have tiger barbs. I know I've seen some in the tank up here. Um, they might be on hold, but they look healthy. But if they're on hold, they shouldn't have to be on hold for very long. Um, so I know we've got some nice tiger barbs in. One thing to remember when you do order tiger barbs, they do best in groups, and be prepared because they could be very bad fin nippers, right? So not only nippers, they'll be actually killers to other fish in the tank, unless your tank is big enough and you have a group of them. Um, Moses, I don't know. Maybe Carly's answered this question already. Are the bumblebee Oscars on sale now? I don't know that they're up yet. They might be. I know we had to work on getting pictures, and um, I know we got pictures, so they should be pretty close to being on sale. See if you guys know what fish that is. So we had a male and a female, and the female ended up passing on us, and now we have this big male. But I am growing some more out, so I'm excited about that. See if you guys could guess what fish that is. All right, Carly's sending me to, I think it was Sveni. Yeah, she says the bumblebees are up. Yeah, the Sveni cichlid is in C12. So let's go down here. Oh, they're right here. Now, these guys they act like they came from the wild because they're very spooked because they probably haven't been up here for very long. So when I get my camera close to it, they're probably going to want to swim around. I see one's already got beat up. But yeah, there they are right there. Hey, Maddie. Hey, one of them's got a bad eye on the Savannah, like he's got in a fight. Oh, okay. Um, so yeah, those guys are really spooked. That's what happens. They are bred outdoors in a big environment that you can almost consider like a wild caught because it's such a big environment, and they face predators just like they do in the wild. So when we bring them up here, they're really spooked and skittish. So I'm gonna keep it on the blue-eyed lemons. Stephen Jones saying I think it's Elliot Cichlid. Let's go back. I'll show you. I got a little stool I'm sliding around on. It's the Viha Argentea. And I've got some of these growing up right now too. It's gonna be a really nice one. I'm excited about that.
I'm sorry.
Jasper's asking if we have the Mason eye. I think we always have the Mason eye. In fact, we always keep them over in the same area.
Yeah, just approximately. Okay.
And then I'm gonna wrap it up after this. I think everybody's got to see quite a bit. There's the Madonna. These guys are looking nice. The Mason eye. I'm just kind of winging this. I actually don't see any the Mason eye. We'll see if Carly puts any up there for me to go find. A couple bigger yellow labs I can really spook to. Let's see, they're all going hiding in the cave. That's the Solosii. That's been probably our most popular of all our Mabunas is the Solosii. All right. All right. They're normally at B11, but we are out of stock on the Demasoni. So no Demasoni. But it should be long. That's usually a fish. Most of the Mabunas that are tank raised, they breed like rabbits, so it's not long usually when we are out of stock. So, but all right, let me flip this camera around. Tell you guys goodbye. Let's do settings, camera. Front. All right. Well, I hope you guys and gals enjoyed me showing you all the fish and giving you updates, answering all your questions. Like Len had said, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. And if you got any questions, we also have our Facebook group, and Len is a moderator on that group. I thank everybody that is a moderator on that group because they're just volunteering their time to help you guys out. So the group is really awesome. It's called Imperial Tropicals Fishkeepers.com. So it's on Facebook. And then we also check out our YouTube channel. We're constantly putting up videos on YouTube. And if you got any questions about inventory or fish, specifics, just shoot us an email and we'll get right to you. So I appreciate it. Everybody be safe out there for Memorial Day. And Mike B will be back next Friday. So thank you. Have a good weekend.